In 2025, North and South Korea establish an economic union. The joint economic area becomes the symbol of hope for North Korean people. Many of them decide to migrate and start a new life there. However, poor people stay poor and rich men only increase their wealth. Injustice, poverty, and crime reign everywhere. One mysterious man named Professor plans to pull off the heist of the century and steal 4 trillion won from the Korea Unified Mint. He gathers a team of criminals and names each of them after a city. Rio is an amazing hacker who can break into any system. Denver, a street fighter who fought in every fight club and never lost. Moscow is Denver's father and a digging expert. Nairobi, a pathological liar and forgery master. Helsinki and Oslo, bloodthirsty thugs from a gang. Berlin, the most wanted man in the history of North Korea. And Tokyo, a young robber with military training. Together they prepare a perfect plan which must keep everyone safe and provide the best show people have ever seen. Okay, let's start then. At Mint, everything is as usual. The director of the Mint Bureau, Young Min, is watching porn in his office. His secretary and mistress, Miss Sung, comes in and says that she is pregnant. School students arrive for an excursion. Among them there is Ann Kim, US ambassador's daughter. The gang sets a trap for the police escort car. They wear security workers' clothes and prepare to storm the Mint. The gang enters the building. They start shooting and take the hostages. North and South Korean officials create a joint task force and call the best negotiator named Woo Jin. She is a divorced woman who lives with her old mother and raises a daughter. In the task force's camp, she meets Captain Cha from North Korea's Ministry of State Security. They get a call from the professor. Using a voice change program, he talks to Woo Jin. Captain Cha demands to storm the Mint. He also forces Woo Jin to leave. She decides to have dinner with her boyfriend Sano, who turns out to be the professor. Meanwhile, Berlin makes the hostages dress up like the robbers. Soldiers start storming the Mint, but they see a big group of criminals at each entrance and retreat. The Mint starts a video stream. Yan Min and An Kim ask not to use force. Woo Jin needs to come back and continue the negotiation. Berlin thanks all the hostages for cooperation. The professor starts the next phase of the plan. They were not going to steal someone's money in the first place. They will print the money themselves. Berlin divides all the hostages into groups. Some of them cook, others help to dig a tunnel out of the Mint. Berlin has everything under his strict control. The professor keeps calling Woo Jin, buying time for the gang which is printing money non-stop. Yan Min is in the group which digs the tunnel with Moscow. He tries to run away, but Tokyo catches him. Berlin is enraged. He separates the hostages into North and South origin people and threatens to punish them for each other's mistakes. Tokyo doubts Berlin's methods. Ria locks up Anne because she is a special hostage. Yang Min tells Misan about a smartwatch in his office. He asks her to find it. Yang Min tells Denver about Misan's pregnancy and he takes her to Anne's room. Misan asks Anne for help. Anne distracts Rio and Misan finds the smartwatch. Denver finds her. He offers her some snacks and tries to cheer her up. Meanwhile, Anne kisses Rio and steals his weapon, but Rio easily takes it back. Misan gives the smartwatch to her boss. He runs to the toilet and contacts the police. Woo Jin meets Sano for lunch. She gets a call from work. They have just found the way to hack the smartwatch and hear what's happening in the Mint. However, the professor eavesdrops on this conversation and tells Berlin about it. Berlin gathers all the hostages and starts the search. Yan Min turns the smartwatch on so the task force can hear what's going on. He frames Misang and Berlin sees her dropping the watch. He destroys it and tells Denver to kill Misang. Yang Min doesn't even try to save her. Denver takes Misang to the toilet. Everyone hears a gunshot. Berlin tells Denver to get rid of Misang's body. Tokyo confronts Berlin's regime. She finds Denver and Misang. Denver couldn't kill her, so just shot her in the thigh. Tokyo bandages her wound. She tells Denver that Berlin, Oslo, and Helsinki are dangerous for the team. The police identify Rio and Nairobi. Moscow is digging a secret tunnel alone. Yan Min doesn't feel safe even among his colleagues. They hate him for what he did to Misang. Oslo spies on Tokyo and Denver tries to stop him. They fight. Misang wants to write a note to Yan Min. Helsinki finds her, but Tokyo arrives just in time to save her. Woo Jin's mother sees that her granddaughter Mina is taken by her father. She can't reach Wu Jin but finds a card with Sano's phone number. The professor uses this opportunity to go to the task force's camp and suss out what they know so far. Tokyo threatens Berlin and says that he is putting the whole operation at risk. They are interrupted by Professor's call. Berlin tells him about Mison's death. Moscow enters the room and hears Rio accusing Denver of murder. It completely breaks him. He comes out of the mint and wants to surrender. Denver runs to stop him. Soldiers and snipers are watching them. The robbers take some of the hostages and come out of the building. Denver tells his father that Mison is alive. The group starts moving back to the building, but Yan Min freaks out and starts threatening to shoot. Wu Jin doesn't see his face and gives a signal to the snipers. They shoot Yan Min. The gang takes his body back into the building. Tokyo asks Rio for help because he has basic medical skills. But as soon as he sees blood, Rio feels sick. Wu Jin offers Professor to send their medics. Captain Cha is going to join the medics group and wear special glasses with a camera. He also sends a group of soldiers to sneak into the mint undercover. Mison needs surgery. Denver decides to steal medics' instruments and save her. Tokyo lets medics in. The professor recognizes Captain Cha. During the surgery, Berlin confronts Captain Cha and makes him confess that he is not a doctor. Denver steals the instrument. Rio places a chip inside Captain Cha's phone. Medics finish the surgery and leave the building. The professor also guesses about the group of soldiers dressed up like the hostages and tells his team to change their masks. Soldiers pull back. Moscow, Tokyo, and Denver try to save Mison. Berlin finds out about it and wants to kill her, but Nairobi stops him. Rio finally pulls it together and operates on Mison. After the surgery, he confesses to Tokyo that he likes her. Mison wakes up and sees that Denver is giving her his blood. She thanks him for saving her. The professor makes Tokyo the new leader. He tells to tie Berlin up and lock him in the office. Wu Jin is going through hard times. Media blames her for her actions. Her mom is very old and suffers from memory lapses. Her ex-husband is acting like an asshole. To distract from her problems, Wu Jin spends the night with Sano. In the mint, everything is going according to the plan, except for one detail. One of the soldiers, Pak Chao-wo, is still in the building. Wu Jin admits that Sano is the only one she can show her weak side to. Captain Cha suspects that Wu Jin is somehow connected with the robbers. Pak Chao-wo contacts the task force. His mission is to find and kill the professor. Berlin looks very bad. He says that he is terminally ill. Mison comes back to the hostages. Yan Min sees how Denver cares about her and becomes jealous. Wu Jin realizes that the professor might not be inside the mint. The task force finds a car that was used by the professor and other robbers. Now the professor has to reach it first and get rid of it. Chao Wu cooperates with An, Mison, and Yan Min and asks them about the professor. Chao Wu and Yan Min trap Denver and torture him. Now they think that the professor is Tokyo. The professor gets to the car first, but Wu Jin and the police are following him. Pak Chao-wo turns on the fire alarm in the mint. All the hostages panic. Chao-wo looks for Tokyo. Mison threatens Yan Min and saves Denver. Berlin pretends that he is dying and uses Rio to break free. Pak Chao-wo is going to kill Tokyo, but Berlin arrives just in time and shoots him. The professor tries to get rid of the chase. He almost gets caught, but eventually manages to drown his car and escape. Hostages' relatives gather around the mint. Wu Jin makes up a plan on how to win over the reporters and frame the robbers. She asks Professor to let her into the mint with cameras to calm the worries of the families of the hostages and the general public. He feels that she is up to something. Berlin tells the hostages to keep their mouths shut. However, Yan Min persuades Anne to write a note for Wu Jin on a banknote. Wu Jin arrives and Tokyo starts bringing the hostages one by one. Anne tries to pass the note, but Tokyo notices that and stops her. Wu Jin insists on gathering the hostages all at once and checking them according to her list. After all, she says that the hostage named Pak Chao-wo is missing. She accuses Berlin of killing him. Berlin gives a signal and Denver brings Chao-wo into the room, and he is alive. Meanwhile, one of the reporters receives an anonymous tip. It's a video of what happened last night. Looks like Pak Chao-wo and the police put all the hostages' lives in danger while hunting the professor. There is a huge scandal. People blame the task force for neglecting the hostages' safety. Moscow says that the tunnel is almost ready. They only need to finish printing the money. It's almost over, isn't it? Miss-Song kisses Denver and they make love. Berlin makes an injection and feels better. Wu Jin gets drunk and calls Sano. The professor realizes that he loves her. Wu Jin finds a piece of the banknote in her pocket and did pass her at least something. She runs back to work. On his way home, the professor sees Captain Cha waiting for him.